Part of this year as the defensive play caller. Obviously, things didn't work out there. A lot of work for Washington to do personnel-wise on defense this offseason. They will do so with an eye toward a new coordinator underneath Dan Quinn, who, of course, oversees that defense. And in Dallas, after 1 year as defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus is out. Dallas, obviously, a very disappointing season on that side of the ball. After trading away Micah Parsons right before the season started, Eberflus came in last year with head coach Brian Schottenheimer, but Schottenheimer will look for a replacement. Worth noting, the last 5 Cowboys defensive coordinators have been coaches who had previous head coach experience. So when you look at guys like Brian Flores, who's a free agent as a coach, his contract is up in Minnesota. He could get head coach job interviews. Minnesota could keep him. But he's somebody who's of interest to the Cowboys. Other names on that list, like Jeff Ulbrich, who finished last season as the Jets' interim head coach, and a couple guys who are defensive coaches who got fired as head coaches in the last couple of days, in Raheem Morris, Jonathan Gannon. Those are the types of names to keep an eye on as the Cowboys look for a replacement.
Yeah, sometimes a head coach that gets fired isn't necessarily coveted as a head coach right away again, but as a coordinator, that'd be a top-flight hire for any of those teams looking for coordinators. Dan Graziano with the latest, the NFL.
Cowboys Nation, lock in right now. Because if there is one name that should immediately get your attention as the Dallas Cowboys search for their next defensive coordinator, it is Jim Leonhard. Not as a rumor, not as clickbait, but as a serious, high-level football solution that could fundamentally change the direction of this franchise on the defensive side. Let's start with who Jim Leonhard really is, because casual fans might not fully grasp the weight of this name. Jim Leonhard is not a flashy headline coach. He is not loud. He is not chasing attention. He is a technician, a teacher, a defensive mind that is deeply respected across the NFL and college football. And those are exactly the types of coaches who tend to transform struggling defenses. Leonhard built his reputation first as an elite defensive back in the NFL, a player who made his career not on raw athleticism, but on anticipation, film study, angles, and communication. That matters because the best defensive coordinators often come from the secondary. They understand spacing, they understand leverage, they understand how modern offenses attack coverage, and they understand how to disguise, confuse, and bait quarterbacks into mistakes. That is an area the Cowboys have been brutally exposed in. Now, fast forward to his coaching career. At Wisconsin, Jim Leonhard consistently produced top-tier defenses, even without 5-star talent across the board. His units were known for discipline, tackling, assignment soundness, and adaptability, and that's key. He didn't need elite talent to get elite results. He maximized what he had. Then look at what he's doing in Denver. As the defensive pass game coordinator and assistant head coach, Leonhard is directly involved in designing coverage structures, pressure packages, and situational football plans against today's most explosive passing offenses. That experience is priceless. The Cowboys don't just need a coordinator who can stop the run or blitz more. They need someone who understands how to survive in a league built around quarterbacks. Here's another massive reason why Leonhard makes sense for Dallas: control. If the Cowboys hire him, he wouldn't be stepping into a situation where the head coach dictates the defense. Brian Schottenheimer is offense-focused. That creates a clean separation of power. Leonhard could fully own the defense, install his system, build his identity, demand accountability. That autonomy is how elite coordinators operate at their best. Now think about personnel fit. Dallas already has pieces. The front has talent. The linebackers can run. The secondary needs structure, communication, and better situational awareness. Leonhard's defenses thrive on pre-snap disguise, post-snap clarity for defenders, and forcing quarterbacks to hesitate. You don't need the #1 defense in the league to win championships. You need a defense that gets stops, creates turnovers, and doesn't collapse in critical moments. That is exactly what Jim Leonhard specializes in. And let's talk about culture, because this matters just as much as scheme. Jim Leonhard is known as a demanding but respected leader, not a screamer, not a politician, a coach who expects preparation, detail, and buy-in. That kind of presence would immediately raise the standard in a Dallas Cowboys locker room that has, at times, been criticized for inconsistency on defense. This would not be a coordinator learning on the job. This would be a coordinator walking in with credibility. Another underrated benefit? Long-term stability. The Cowboys have gone through coordinator after coordinator, scheme resets, terminology changes, confusion. If Dallas hires Jim Leonhard and supports him properly through the draft and free agency, this could finally be a multi-year solution, someone you build with, not cycle through. That alone would be a massive win. In Cowboys Nation, this move would send a message, not just to fans, but to the league. It would say Dallas is done with panic hires, done with half measures, done with hoping things magically fix themselves. It would say this franchise is serious about aligning its elite offense with a modern, intelligent, disciplined defense. Because here's the truth. The window with Dak Prescott is real. The offense is good enough to compete. The Cowboys don't need miracles. They need competence, clarity, and consistency on defense. Jim Leonhard checks every one of those boxes. This isn't about hype. This is about fit. This is about football. This is about finally giving this team a defensive identity that doesn't crack under pressure. Cowboys Nation, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Jim Leonhard is the right man to lead this defense? Would this hire give you confidence that Dallas is finally moving in the right direction? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe to Cowboys Nation Report, because if the Cowboys get this hire right, everything changes.